Hello, everyone, and welcome to Open Mic Night and NFC North Open Mic. I'm your host, Main Event Mike, man that rhymes, but not on purpose. Welcome to the program. Today, we're going to talk about football, specifically NFC North football. Our season's been over for a while, but for the Super Bowl and the rest of the NFL, this is day one of the offseason, and we are coming at you live, representing every corner of the NFC North, including the basement, where we'll start with Mike the Bear fan. Mike, how are you today?
Good. How about you?
I'm great, and something I've been wanting to ask you. I mustache you a question. Tell me, can you give me a Da Bears? Just want this whole time we've been doing this, I haven't got a Da Bears once.
Da Bears.
I was weak, but we'll take it. You guys smell that? Smells like old cheese. Oh, hey, it's Bill the Packer fan. How you doing, Bill?
Oh, it's pretty good, man. I'm over here trying to find a Detroit Lions Super Bowl trophy. I don't have to look at.
Keep looking, buddy. It's coming just over the horizon. And we're going to take it out to the West Coast now for our West Coast stat master, a man who's never been to the state of Michigan, but he's the biggest Lions fan I know, which just goes to prove he's not that smart. Mr. Greg Rice, how are you today? That's the best take you've ever had, my brother.
Unmute yourself, Greg.
Oh, see? Hey, I'm doing good, you guys. I'm just living the dream right now.
Right on. And rounding out the division champions representing the Minnesota Vikings, it is Minneapolis, Minnesota. It's our good friend, Jamez. How are you today, Jamez?
I'm doing good, man. I just wanted to come and hang out with you guys, man. I'm glad that I got invited, man. What's going on?
All right, we're glad to have you. Can you give me a good skull?
Oh, it's the skull all day, man.
Let's hear a good enthusiastic
Mine was
one.
better than that.
You want a nice skull, motherfuckers?
There you go.
That's how I do it at the stadium.
That's right.
And rounding out this illustrious panel of headliners on the main stage tonight is our producer, Mr. Russ Wayne, Lions extraordinaire, and the Swami, who got his Super Bowl prediction wrong. How are you doing tonight, Russ?
Oh, I'm doing the best that I can do. Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes, and I'm dealing with it.
Right on. We are definitely going to dive into that before we let's just dive into it right now. Let's put it in the rearview mirror and start looking ahead to the offseason for our own teams. But in the meantime, let's take a look at the Super Bowl 57 champion Kansas City Chiefs. And what a game, right? I'm going to kick it around the panel. We'll start with Bill, and you guys just go around. Give me your thoughts on what's your overall impression of the game. I thought it was a great game. And I'd also like you to tell me, 10 years from now, Bill, when you remember Super Bowl 57, what's the one thing that's going to stick out in your mind about it?
The one thing that's going to stick out is it wasn't a blowout. The last couple of Super Bowls have been boring where you don't even want to watch it past halftime. This one kept you at the edge of your seat the whole game, which was pretty good. I mean, that's what most of the fans wanted, was a good game. You know what I mean? Whether we had no dogfight in it, you know what I'm saying? So it didn't matter who won to us. We just wanted a good game.
It was a good game. Did you like it then? It was a good game?
Yeah, it was a good game. The only thing that I think I'm going to remember about it is the fake injury by Patrick Mahomes. But
yeah.
Wow. All kidding aside, do you think, like about to fall off is going to be like the one thing you're going to remember? Like, Isaiah 26 points on a broken ankle, and that always, out.
He actually lied after the game. He said he didn't take no pain meds or a shot. There's no way you were in pain that hard before halftime and came out after halftime playing like you did with no pain relief.
For sure.
I'm not buying it.
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't. That's a great take. Russell Wayne, what for you for the game?
Well, I mean, I thought Philadelphia was going to blow them out. I mean, I thought they were overmatched, that from 1 to 53 that Philadelphia had way better teams. So the takeaway that I had is like, who's going to beat Patrick Mahomes if he can beat the best defense in the league, arguably with a bum ankle? I mean, it's unbelievable what happened. So that was my takeaway. It was just like, wow. Jack and the Beanstalk. I mean,
but 10 years from now, when we mention this game, what Is there anything singular? I mean, what they had to look, guys. Look. They had to stop. They stopped the play. They ran another play. Then they ran another play. Then they reviewed a play 2 times. That's not going to stick out in your head. That ticky-tack holding call, Russ. What's going to stick out for you?
Not in 10 years from now. I mean, I think that there's going to be some complaining about. There was a couple sketchy calls that were in there here and there, but at the end of the day, him playing on a bum ankle and then winning in the heroic fashion that he did is all that's going to be remembered 10 years from now.
It's a great take. James, what do you think?
Man, it was kind of how I predicted. I said they couldn't let that shit get into a shootout. But as far as 10 years from now, man, I thought that Jalen Hurts played a damn good game, bro. And especially when they needed the 2-point conversion to, tie that shit up, bro. He took a nice ass lick. And most quarterbacks, I think, are getting stopped right there on the 1-yard line, bro. But he got up in that motherfucker, bro. He put everything into it to get up in there, bro. And that stuck out to me. And that was a hard pill to swallow for Jalen Hurts. I think that's why he didn't shake hands with Mahomes after the game. But that's why I picked the Chiefs to win, man. It's just the Mahomes, he can figure this shit out, man. And then after I saw that scramble, I was a little skeptical about the injury either, because he took off like that motherfucker was at least 90%. So I just think, like I said, even with the best defense, man, and they threw a lot at him, man. I think Andy Reid made a lot of adjustments during the half that Sirianni couldn't match, man. And that was the telltale at the end. And as far as the call, I believe, bro, that you most situations Super Bowl you let that go, but it was a hold, bro. It wasn't like they made a bogus call and they just it was like something you could say, oh, that was rigged or it was fixed or something. You know what I'm saying?
I do, and I agree with that take, even though half of social media disagrees with it. And I guess if you're rooting for the Eagles and you lost some money, then maybe you'd feel the same way. Also, that's
it might influence. It might influence your opinion, Tom.
A lot of times, all they're going is the second shot, like the second hold. It was actually a double hold, and they're not. The first one was much more egregious than the second one, and all they're showing is that. Like, I agree with you, James. That's a great take. It was a call. Even the man who did it said, yeah, that was a penalty. Yeah. So, Greg Rice, what's your take on the game? 10 years from now, I think Russ made a good point. Maybe we won't remember the particulars, but it sure feels like that today. What sticks out for you, Greg?
I mean, for me, I'm looking at this as Mahomes establishing a legacy. He did this against, on paper, one of the best defenses I've seen in the last decade. I mean, literally that front seven, that rotation, you guys, half those bench players could be starting on other NFL teams, and Mahomes just put it on them. I like, for those people who don't like to watch like necessarily players or even other teams outside of who their team is, man, you're missing something special with Patrick Mahomes. Like we were talking about earlier, I already got this kid solidified as a top 5 all-time quarterback. This legacy is unreal. And in terms of like what else just kind of sticks out, I'll say it, over the last few Super Bowls, there has been some very wishy-washy officiating. Super Bowls that have swung, hung in the balance on just one play call. I can't help but think of the Cooper Kupp holding call a couple years ago. And you could say what you want about the Bradbury hold. I mean, sure, it was a hold, but wasn't that the first defensive holding or first PI called all game? It just the irregularity, the inconsistency of officiating, man. It's just, I don't know. To me, it's kind of getting a little burnt out.
Another great take.
Yeah.
As you can tell, we have assembled a pretty good panel here with some great takes, and I appreciate each one of you tonight, man. That's great. That's just our first topic. If there's something you want us to talk about, some question you want to ask, put it in the comments. It's an open mic night here on the main stage. Last member of our panel, Mike the Bear fan, what's going to stick out for you?
What's going to stick out for me?
about Super Bowl 57.
Well, first, since you like to point stuff out, I'd like to point it out too. The defense was really good. I thought they'd step it up for how good. Definitely got to.
Can y'all hear me?
Chiefs and Mahomes for sure, 100%. Like, he did his thing on a bum ankle. It was not 100%. The media and stuff might have said it was, but it wasn't. You know what I mean? But he definitely did his thing. But overall, I thought, man, Hurts, like Jamez said, did his thing, man. He did 374 yards by himself, 4 TDs. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, Philly's got to get that run game, man. Like, if it wasn't for him, it was nothing. You know what I mean?
It has happened.
A great game back and forth, and last second field goal, which a lot of the Eagle fans destroyed their TVs.
Yeah. As a drywall repairman, I really wished I lived in Philly at this time of year. But no, definitely a good take there. And Jalen Hurts, it's happened before that a loser, someone from the losing team has won most valuable player. I would have been all right with it had they made Jalen Hurts the MVP of the game. But one thing that'll always stick out for me on this game was that Andy Reid, his play calling was phenomenal. Some of that stuff, it looks so easy. Those are some of the easiest throws Patrick Mahomes ever had to make in the red zone. You and I could have made those throws because he just had them on their heels. He outcoached them. They outplayed him in special teams. Yeah, they weren't as good 2 through 53 up and down the roster. They had him at quarterback, but the rest of the roster favored Philadelphia up and down the way. So they found a way. They were savvy. It was a great win for Kansas City Chiefs. And anything else anyone wants to talk about on this Super Bowl? James, you got anything else to add?
I just want to respond to one comment. Now he can feel that the Eagles got robbed, but he just said that the Chiefs might lose their title because there you go. He said because the quarterback got caught using steroids at halftime. Jeff, do you have any proof to that statement, Jeff? If you do, we'd love for you to come on there and share that with us.
Not even that, but does he realize steroids is not a pain reliever?
he said he got caught. He said the Eagles got now there's a lot of people that feel the Eagles got robbed, but at the same time, that's not a kind of call where I feel it's a robbery. Now, I would like to I would love to have seen Jalen Hurts with 54 seconds or so to come down and see if he could respond to that, but with no timeouts. But at the same time, bro, they got to be fair with this shit, man. And it's so blatant. Either way it goes, they're fucked. If they let it go, the Chiefs fans are saying they're fucked over it. And who's to say? It's not like that's a guaranteed win for Philly if that play doesn't stand. But they still had the field goal. They just haven't been able to burn the clock down like that. That's the only difference. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And one thing for sure, the referees robbed Nick Bolton of MVP. Because that second scoop and score would have been huge. And is there anybody else on this panel thought that was a catch?
I don't think it was, bro. I don't think he made a complete football move after the catch, bro. I think if it would have happened a half a second later and Bolton got there, that would have been legit. But he had to at least turn and make one move before that was a catch. Bro. I think that was the right call, bro.
Yeah. Mike the Bear fan shaking his head, because you're in Chicago and that you got to complete that rule in Chicago.
Like, if you would have had
Calvin Johnson's on line one.
Of a football move, as long as you make 2 feet, it's a completion. You know what I mean? But it was a bang play. I don't think it was a completion.
It was real close either way, though. It was real close.
Yeah, well, if he hadn't got hit, he was gone because he had the ball, brought it in.
Night,
he
Mike.
turned to run. Yeah, he didn't take a step, but he turned. He was ready to go and got.
Yeah, he was.
That guy put his hat right on the ball, and that would have been a huge play had that stuck out. That will always stick out to me on that one. That's that Calvin Johnson rule coming into play.
Yeah.
Moving on. Russ, read us a comment. James, read us a comment. What do we got from the gallery?
We got Anthony Stewart that said the game was great until the refs took over. I wish that KC would have scored just to see if Hurts could have tied it up. And this is public opinion. And you got to think most of these people commenting aren't Chiefs fans, aren't Philly fans. So, he said bear down. So we're getting unbiased opinions in here. So,
yeah, we say
a lot of people.
That wasn't no fake injury, Bill. You want to respond to that, Bill? There wasn't a fake injury, Bill.
I would say that is a fake injury. It was either a fake injury or he lied after the game and took
overreaction.
You know what I mean?
What if he's got massive cojones and he just went out there and played on it?
Yeah.
So what did he do? Put the cojones around his ankle to keep it together, or what?
Maybe. I saw Isaiah Thomas. I saw Isaiah Thomas score 26 points in a quarter in an NBA final on a broken ankle. It can be done.
But they are who we thought they were.
That's right.
Greg Rice, do you think the refs stole this game?
I mean, like I just said, man, the officiating, the last few Super Bowls that I can remember, has been really inconsistent and controversial at times. Like I said, the Bradbury thing, yeah, it was technically a penalty, but you haven't been calling them all games, so why are you going to call it all of a sudden? It changed the whole dynamic of the game right there. Like Jamez just touched on, if they would have kicked the field goal, they would have still had time to run it down or move it down the field, but they didn't, and it just sucks when it's left in the referee's hands, because you see it a lot in the Super Bowl. And look, I'm not a gambling man. I'm not going to say it's rigged, even though I do want to go in my whole spiel about how it is. But in all honesty, you guys, there's some real suspect calls or non-calls.
So, Greg,
do you believe, Greg? Do you believe, Greg, the NFL's rigged?
Yeah. Yeah, I believe it's scripted, but look, it ain't like the players know about it. It ain't like the players know about it. I think there's very few people that are privy to. I look at it as entertainment. Doesn't mean I'm gonna stop watching it or I'm gonna like get footage on it and say, oh, this is where it's rigged. I do believe there are select people that are in on it though, and that certain teams are chosen to win halfway through the season based on popularity and just stuff like that.
So the script is for the Lions to beat the Packers 3 in a row? I can't believe that's the script.
Yeah, but
That's unbelievable.
Hey, Mike, you should have checked the script before those 3 games, though. It wasn't in your favor, bud.
No, we were a footnote on the script.
Yeah, that part.
They were just writing you in, huh?
Mike, the Bear fan, do you believe the NFL's rigged?
Man, I hope not, because I'm opposite. If I find out that it's rigged, it's hard to be a fan. Be like fucking wrestling. You know what I mean?
No,
Hey.
Yeah.
Hey,
I personally don't. You know what I mean? I love
good. Yeah, I don't think. I think there might be some bad apples or some shady betting going on by a ref or something like that. Maybe but a a whole league-wide conspiracy that only the elite know about. I mean, the earth isn't flat, and I don't think the NFL's rigged and scripted. That's just my opinion.
Hey, so real quick, I hate to double dip, Mike. Let me get this in, okay? Let me just put this out here, you guys. Okay, so look, throughout human history, we've seen corrupt politicians, corrupt police, corruption in the church. You're here to tell me that after over 100 years that the NFL is the gold standard for integrity, honesty, and accountability? I just don't buy it. That's just me, though.
That's fair.
They are who we thought they were.
That's all I'm going to say.
That's a fair point, Greg.
I'd hate to believe that it's rigged, but if it is where it would come down to that, I just hope, goddamn, if it is, I hope Minnesota's next up are real close in the script, goddamn it. I hope they write our shit up real soon, goddamn it. Write it up soon, baby, because shit, we've been waiting. Because shit, go ahead and get us up in there.
No, they're writing you in. They're just writing Kirk Cousins out. That's the problem.
Well, hey, whatever has to happen, Bill, whatever they want us to do. We'll do it.
I think that was a great call out, though, Greg. You're right. I mean, we can't put this league up on a pedestal like that and just assume that they're all good and holy. Absolutely, 100%. But I think it's a bit insulting that when that narrative is presented, it undermines everything Tom Brady did. It undermines everything that these players and coaches put into it to achieve the things that they do. And I don't think that the script was for Tom Brady to become the greatest of all time, a 6th round draft pick, California kid who went to Michigan. That doesn't fit it for me.
Went to Michigan. I like how you got that in there.
I got to throw that in.
You made sure to get that in there.
Yeah.
All right, well, let the Ohio State guy jump in here on this.
Yeah, here we go.
My gosh. So when it comes to this, I don't think the refs screwed the Philadelphia Eagles. I think the refs screwed the fans, because if they would have given Jalen Hurts another chance to go down there and tie that game, and that game would have went to overtime, I'm not saying Philadelphia would have won or lost, but that would have been a lot more exciting for the fans to go and get into a overtime game. And that holding call really just took that away and just turned it into, a Hail Mary type of thing at the end, and not very exciting. So no, the referees did not rob the Eagles. The referees robbed the fans.
Oh, Bill, the Packer fan, do you think the NFL's scripted?
I don't think it is, but if it is, man, they need to start, like Jamesh says, they need to start penciling the Packers in, man. We have like
Come on, man.
No, I don't think it's rigged at all. I mean, it may look like it at times with some of these ref calls, but I don't think it's rigged. Not at all. This ain't WWF or WCW.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
All
right.
right, I gotta come on, Bill. Come on, you need more script. You need the Packers to be written in there for more of the script. The frozen tundra of Lambeau Field. I mean, come on, man. You guys got all the history.
I think the reason
we need
why
to write you out of the script.
The reason why Greg is sticking with that it's rigged is because he must have lost money yesterday.
No. Here's the thing. Hey, real talk. So look, part of my issue with people saying it's rigged is I'm gonna be real with you guys. Look, we know half the motherfuckers saying it's rigged. Bet on the game, and I don't bet on the game.
Bill and Greg,
because for me it takes away from enjoying the actual game. But that's just my personal opinion that it's rigged.
They said 70% of Vegas took the Eagles yesterday.
Ooh-wee. Ouch.
Yeah, Vegas was begging you to bet on Kansas City. And that's ultimately what Vegas wants, right? They want you to take team A and me to take team B, and then they make the juice in the middle. That's obviously what they want us to cancel each other out. So whichever way we see the points shift, depending on how much money's being put on one side or the other. And Vegas was begging us to bet on Kansas City. And by the way, I'm the only one on this panel that picked Kansas City to win the Super Bowl, and you can go back and check that on the last show.
Yeah. I think
I'm going to double check that too.
Yeah, you guys go ahead and check that. You'll see I was the only one. Because I'm always wrong. So that sticks out for me when I am right. So moving on. Hey, so anybody out there in internet land, if you're watching this show, if you're listening to this show, tell us what you think. It's open mic night here on the main stage. Put it in the comments. Do you think the NFL is rigged? We'll read your comments. We'll try to get it around as long as your take doesn't suck. What is the next topic, Mr. Producer? John Dorn, that rules you out.
Oh, man. Come on now.
No, John Dorn is absolutely welcome.
Yeah, absolutely.
So last week we talked a little bit about the running backs. I wanted to get in a little bit about these quarterbacks, and I think that we're going to start with the Kirk Cousins versus Aaron Rodgers. Right here. Is Cousins better than Rodgers? He had a better statistical year than Rodgers, but Cousins is better than Rodgers. Is that true or false? And let's start not with Bill, the Packer fan.
You're lucky, boy. You are lucky.
Yeah. Let's start with you, Mike, the Bear fan.
I'm not a Cousins fan. I'm not a Rodgers fan at all. Obviously, stats and everything, Cousins did have a decent year, but overall, I hate to say it, but Rodgers is the better quarterback for sure.
So, and that's just based off of you're just feeling that, because I mean Cousins was actually
no, I mean you can't just go off stats. You got to go to playoff scenarios, stuff like that. We all know Cousins don't do that well in playoffs, and they're ringless. So I mean,
all right. Well, okay, we'll let Bill, the Packer fan. I know that you're chomping at the bit right there.
Well, I was just
tell
saying,
me why.
Well, no, it was the way you said it. You said, well, he had a good statistical year.
Yes.
Year. See, Rodgers had years, plural.
Yeah.
Years.
So I guess the better question, let's look at it from here forward, because Aaron Rodgers is a little bit older, right? So let's go from now until 5 years from now. Who are you taking on your team, Kirk Cousins or Aaron Rodgers, for 5 years?
Aaron Rodgers, for sure.
Okay. I figured that you would say that. I mean,
let me explain. The only reason why I say that is not because of physicality, but because of his mental knowledge of the game.
Yeah.
He's doing shrooms right now, right?
hey. Hopefully,
motherfucker doing perks. Motherfucker got some perks and shit.
So what do you think? Hey, Jamaz, what do you think about
no, I
this?
would never say that Kirk Cousins is a better quarterback than Aaron Rodgers. Did he have a better year than him last year? Easily. And could he possibly be better than Aaron Rodgers next year and down the line? That remains to be seen. I don't know if Rodgers has hit Father Time. I wouldn't I wouldn't count Rodgers out though. That's what I will say. I could easily see him bouncing back next year and rising back up to at least close to MVP level. He might not be. I don't know. They'll have to get some shit around him. Like, let's say if he really does take a pay cut. But no, I don't even consider them two guys on the same pedestal when it comes to shit. That's why I give Aaron Rodgers more shit than I would give Kirk Cousins if shit doesn't go right for the teams.
You know, that sounded like a whole bunch of stuff. You said a whole bunch of words right there and didn't answer the question at all. So going forward,
I answered
who are you
the
taking?
question.
No, he did. He said Rodgers is better.
No, he did, but very
kind of
a roundabout way.
Said Cousins was
because shit. As of right now, it's a big question mark if Rodgers can continue being a better quarterback than him from my goddamn book.
So gun to your head right now. 5 years. You have 5 years to go. You got Aaron Rodgers at 37 years old. Kirk Cousins. I don't even know how old he is. He's younger. But who you taking 30. 5 years from right now? Talent, where they're at, right, not in 2010, not MVP last year. Aaron Rodgers right now. Forward.
If I had for 5 years right now. It really doesn't. It's really a toss up. I guess I would say Rodgers, but right now I only think Rodgers only has about 2 more years left. That's right. The problem. Kirk Cousins, he only got about 2 years. That's what elite level. No, in fact, I'm switching. I'm going with Kirk Cousins. 5 years. Give me Kirk Cousins or Aaron Rodgers.
Thank you.
Fuck Aaron Rodgers.
Rodgers ain't got 5 years left in him.
That's what I was looking for.
Yeah.
Take this
way.
over, Mike. These guys are hurting me.
Hey, you guys don't understand. Kirk Cousins, he takes a lot of punishment, man. He's built, man. That motherfucker's cut up, man. He's gonna last long. He can last long. Everybody can do the Tom Brady shit, man. Can't everybody do that?
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Rodgers is about to go.
If I got to start a team next year, and I got to have one of them as my quarterback, I'll take Aaron Rodgers. But if we're looking at 5 years, I think he's lost so much off of his balls just this year. We saw Kirby Joseph own him a couple times because his pass was a little bit short. The timing was a little bit off. He short-armed a couple of throws at Ford Field. He's lost a step, and he looks grizzled and haggard. He don't have 5 years left. No way.
Yeah.
I say 2 max.
Yeah.
Right.
So let's go right to Bill. I want you to respond to all this because this is a lot of shade thrown towards a guy right here. So I'll give you a chance to respond.
I was just wondering why Mike doesn't do stand-up comedy because he's pretty funny.
I do. I'll be in Sandusky, Michigan on February 19th.
Hey, Mike, you forget Aaron Rodgers had for quite some time, and he's had a pretty respectful O-line. He hasn't been touched much, but in the last few years. So I think Rodgers got it in him to at least 45, 46 for sure.
Wow.
Oh, wow. Okay. Hey, I love it.
And not even to mention, if you do a little research on Rodgers, he's on a strict diet. Like, he don't eat just anything. That's why that whole thing came up with that COVID shot. See, the deal with that was he sent that shot out to a bunch of scientists and paid like $550,000 to tear this thing apart. And it turns out to be one of the ingredients he's deathly allergic to.
Wow.
So that's why go do the research.
Out of here.
That's why he didn't do the shot. But did you?
Wow.
But the reason why he said, that he wasn't vaccinated, he was immunized, or however you say it was, because he did a blood transfusion with someone that had the COVID stuff in him.
Oh, wow.
That's why. So he was kind of like immune, but it wasn't a guarantee. That's why he said he was immunized and not vaccinated.
Right. Okay. And we can believe everything Aaron Rodgers says.
Yeah, he's one slick talking mother,fucker, ain't he?
Yeah,
he's a very smart guy. That's what it comes down to.
Sure, he's hanging out with witch doctors in Peru.
Hey, that motherfucker doing drugs. He's not even allowed in the United States.
He's one of the great dude. He's definitely one of the greats. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer, no doubt about it. But the question was, for the next 5 years, it wouldn't even be close. Kirk Cousins has got more upside 5 years from now than Tom Brady did 5 years ago.
Kirk Cousins isn't even as good as Rodgers in his off time, in his downward slide. You know what I mean?
Shit, he was. You don't even as good as your last year in this league, man.
than a mild Kirk Cousins any day, dude. Because
Well,
Kirk Cousins would have his decision making.
But this is my question to that though, Bill. Let's say if Rodgers had to deal with the 31st ranked defense and he had to switch all lines with Cousins, what would the scenario be then?
He would probably write a book of excuses for the Minnesota Vikings.
No, that motherfucker probably be 4. No, he'd probably be 4-13. God damn it, that's what he'd probably be.
The only way he goes that low is don't give him no receivers.
No, I promise you that thumb injury would have been a lot more serious if that was.
But it goes both ways though. Now you give Rodgers Jefferson and some shit like that, that might turn him back up too. If you gave him Cousins weapons, it goes both ways. Like I said, if you're asking me for 1 year and I just want to take one shot at it and I'm trying to go for broke, I would definitely take Rodgers. But Cousins, man, he doesn't get the credit he deserves, bro. He definitely has choked in some moments, and I don't like motherfuckers trying to put that. I don't like you motherfuckers trying to put that last pass on him just because they're making it seem like that decided the game. No, the offensive coordinator should have kept feeding Hockenson. That's why we got him from Detroit, for him to keep killing it. He was killing their goddamn linebackers. We might have got our ass whooped the next week, but we should have easily won that game.
So I want to ask some Lion fans here. Was Hockenson worth the trade to the Vikings?
Absolutely. 100%.
Were you guys happy to get rid of him?
If you're the Vikings, absolutely. It made sense for they were trying to win on now. They're trying to push their chips to the center of the table. And that was a great move for that. It didn't work. They lost at home.
Didn't work yet.
To a team they beat 2 weeks previously.
Yes,
so,
don't forget that. Beat them. It didn't work yet. We got them all next year too. God damn it.
Yeah, and you're right, James. As though he was killing them linebackers like he's.
Hey, but I think it was a win-win for Detroit and Minnesota. I think it was a win-win for both teams, though. If you look at the aspect of the trade, if you look at the aspect, you gotta think that the Lions were not about to give him Travis Kelce money. He hasn't even earned Travis Kelce money in Minnesota yet. We'll see how this next year is. But right now, I'm still sticking around the $9 million mark. What he's getting right now. I'm not going a penny further until because next year, what happened to
when his contract's up, he's going to want 14 or 15 mil, and then if you don't give it to him, you're wasting that draft.
Well, he better prove that he's worth that much this year.
All right.
Yeah. Well, he's definitely a great tight end. He's top 10 tight end in the NFL, and he's going to need to be paid like one. And for Brad Holmes, what he was building, that didn't fit the plan. But for what Minnesota's going, I think is really one of those rare trades where both teams really got what they wanted and needed out of the trade. And TJ was a great player from us. Mad respect for him. Loved him as a player here. But now he plays for the purple guys. So, what is it with purple anyway? I mean, what is it with the
color of choking? It's the color of
color. That's kingdom shit.
Kingdom of
it's
choking.
What?
What's up, kid?
What's up? Hey, you know what? It's funny listening to a Lions fan and a Vikes fan talk about that trade, because as a Bears fan, two things. One, when they made that trade, my first reaction was, oh my God, an end of division trade. We don't trade in the division, especially during the season. But you know what? I agree with both. That trade worked for both teams respectively for their varying reasons. It's one of the rare trades, even in football in general, because usually you look at a trade and, someone got hosed, someone took someone to the bank. But that was a trade when you looked at it, you could honestly go, they both got what they needed. It
made sense for both sides, yeah.
It actually made sense. At first I thought, well, the Lions are crazy where they're trying to lose 15 games again, but then as the season progressed with them and you saw what they were doing, you saw how it was kind of like the Bears trading Roquan, right? Because people say, well, wait, you're trading Roquan. That makes no sense. But, then look how the backfill came in and outperformed Roquan, right? So the Lions knew what they had in their tight end room, and they knew what they had in the tight end room. The other players would fit their system better than the big money guy was right now. But the Lions knew that the big money guy fits their system better and was worth the capital they gave, especially when they're going to be able to probably re-sign them. So for both teams, it made complete sense. It was
great take, Ken. Yeah, this is Ken the Bear fan, folks. It's open mic night here on the main stage. Put your comments in. If you want to be on this panel of illustrious headliners, we just got to vet you a little bit. Head over to the Main Event 365. Shoot us a message. Say you want to be on. We'll make sure you're not a robot, and we'll see if your take sucks or not. And if it does, then we probably won't let you on. But Ken, that was a great take, and welcome to the show. Also like to welcome Nick to the show, Packer fan in the house. How's it going tonight, Nick?
What's up, guys? So I assume Joe won't be joining your show then.
I don't know. What's up with Joe?
Hey, Nick, is he ducking you?
Yeah. No. I just want everybody that watched the show the other night. Joe was saying that the Chiefs have this horrible running defense, which is not true. They're 8th in the league. They're top 10. And he said, "Can you dispute it?" I was like, "I think the factual stats dispute that anyways." The Eagles did not run all over the Chiefs like everyone thought they would. Now, did Hurts have 3 rushing touchdowns? Yeah, he did. But that was all within the red zone, right? He only had 70 total rush yards. So, I mean, I thought the Chiefs did as much as I want to give Hopkins and Kelsey all the credit in the world. That defense, the touchdown that they had, the touchdown that they forced that got overturned somehow, their defense was flying the game.
Hey, Nick, you have to admit that touchdown the defense score was a gift. I mean,
Either way,
not out of 100 plays.
But I mean, Hurts did have 370-something yards. Mahomes only had, 2-something?
he didn't even get 200 passing
No,
yards.
Patrick Mahomes had 182 yards passing and
Plus-
46 yards rushing, which on a broken ankle damn near, he had 46 yards rushing. It's pretty amazing. But Jalen Hurts, man, what's up with that 4th and 1, that 3rd and 1? You can't stop that play. I think we might be seeing a rule change. Greg Rice, I want to ask you about it. You can't stop that play with Jalen Hurts. He's too damn strong. You think we'll see some sort of rule change at the owners' meeting this year on that?
I don't think so. And before we jump all over that, look, we got to give credit to that Eagles offensive line. Someone Aaron Rodgers put out that thing. That might be the best offensive line he's seen in 2 decades. And if you look at that roster from top to bottom, that offensive line, like, damn, it does give you 90s Cowboys vibes completely. So I don't want to make it so much that 4th and 1, those 3rd and 1s, as I do want to attribute it to that Eagles offensive line. They've invested heavily in that through the draft. And they've done a great job. So kudos to them.
Yeah, well, they didn't show up in the Super Bowl because if you take Jalen Hurts out, the running backs average less than 3 yards a carry.
Miles Sanders disappeared.
They might
Miles
look
Sanders
great on
disappeared.
paper when it comes down to crunch time. They didn't deliver, brother.
Yeah.
Nick, what's your take on that?
Well, I just want to say that it was definitely the best offensive line I've seen all year. I mean, but I want to give a shout out. I didn't care who won the game, to be honest. I just wanted a good game, which it was. I want to give a huge credit to the Chiefs offensive line last night. Even though they had a way tougher task, and Mahomes did not get touched. I was extremely surprised by that. I really was.
Zero sacks registered by the Philadelphia Eagles. 0 sacks by one of the most prolific sack teams in history. The 3rd all-time leading sack in one season, that Philadelphia Eagles team. So I want to ask you, James, isn't it, if I would have told you that Patrick Mahomes would have less than 200 yards passing, and what would you tell me was going to be the outcome?
I would have
told
told
you the stats without the score. What would you think was going to happen in this game?
I would have probably assumed they would at least lost by about goddamn near 10 points. But it's just the moments he can create and the fact that he can stretch shit and the fact even on a fucked up ankle, he's still that motherfucker. He's still making those goddamn plays, bro. Like I said, I told people you had the baddest defense in the world, and that motherfucker, he's still figuring shit out somehow, some way. And you gotta give a lot, like you said, a lot of credit to Andy Reid as well.
That Mahomes magic, that's a great take. Mike
real,
the
man.
Bear fan.
That's just real.
Mike the Bear fan, tell me about it.
What was the question?
In what year?
I don't know if
in what year did the Chicago Bears ever draft a good quarterback?
Why we always gotta pick and poke on that kind of shit? You already know the answer to that. He's playing right now, Justin Fields.
I was gonna say 2023, maybe if they're lucky.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, so the Kansas City Chiefs were the more effective team running the ball. The Philadelphia Eagles were the more effective team passing the ball. The Kansas City Chiefs were the better run defense in this Super Bowl. Unbelievable, really. What a topsy-turvy season and a topsy-turvy game. Great Super Bowl 57. let's look ahead. Let's put it in the rear view. Anybody else got any thoughts about it? Let's start looking ahead to the future because that's what Lions fans love to do.
It's our Super Bowl time.
Hey, real quick,
Yeah, it's our
before we
Super
move
Bowl
off the
season.
Super Bowl, before we move off the Super Bowl, let me say this one thing. There were technically 2 sacks in the game, right? Because Jalen ran out a yard short of the line of scrimmage. However, when you think about it, there were no real sacks on the quarterback for
You
either
mean like
team.
in the pocket, like standing in the
Well,
pocket?
Right. I mean, that was those sacks were. Oh, well, he ran out of bounds a yard short, so technically it's a sack. But
That's
if you
incorrect,
take that
sir.
away, this was
It counts as a sack. It counts as a sack on the scoop and score. The scoop and score was a sack.
I think, though, I mean, if you take that stupidity away, neither defense got a sack last night, which was insanely. It was a great game, great game. And now to move on to next year, you know what? I love this because now, and I'm surprised we didn't see much today. We start seeing some coach hirings. We start to see some big free re-signing of people from, like I'm sure the Bears want to get Montgomery done this week. I'm sure, the Giants want Saquon done this week. Now in the next week or two, and between now and March 15th, right? 'Cause I think that's the start of the new season officially, right? We should see a bunch of teams re-signing and applying franchise tags, and now it's going to get real exciting for next season.
Well, I actually have an NFL timeline in front of me, Ken, so that's a great call out, and I'll read that off for you guys right now. The NFL has built a year-round model. That's why here at the Main Event 365, it's 365 days a year. We're constantly putting out NFL content, specifically Detroit Lions content and NFC North content. And Scouting Combine is March 6th. Free agency is March 14th. Then you got the NFL draft on April 28th. The schedule released on April the 17th. And then training camp starts on July 28th. So there's a lot of storylines, a lot of things to happen. There's still a coaching vacancy out there in Arizona. There's a lot of talk about Eric Bieniemy. Greg, I want to ask you, what have you heard out there with your ear to the ground as far as that Arizona coaching vacancy?
I mean, to be honest with you, I thought they were looking at the Eagles guy, but seeing as the results from the Super Bowl, it'll be interesting to see. Look, Arizona's kind of in a precarious situation. They play in a tough division with an emerging Seahawks and a well-established Niners team. The Rams, I think they'll bounce back. How far they bounce back, I don't know, but Arizona is essentially with their hands tied to a quarterback who struggles to throw over the middle of the field. That was something that Jalen Hurts used to struggle with too, but he spent a lot of time in the offseason working on that. And of course, acquiring A.J. Brown didn't hurt. But I don't know. I don't know what Arizona wants to do. All I know is they're going to have to get someone that can work with this quarterback, known as Kyler Murray, who, for better or worse, looks really great some games, and in other games, you're just like, man, what's going on? Kind of like a shorter version of Dak Prescott in a little bit.
The word out of Indianapolis today is that Eagles offensive coordinator Shane Steichen is going to be named as the head coach of the Indianapolis Colts. Anybody got an issue with that?
No, I have an issue with
everybody good with that
situation.
Isn't that par for course?
I think he's going to do just
coach from a Super Bowl team. At least one OC or coordinator or some coach from a Super Bowl team every year gets picked up as a head coach. So I mean that's
but he's got 12
it is
years
kind of automatic nowadays.
He's got 12 years in the league. He's got multiple years as an offensive coordinator. He's been a quarterback's coach. He played he coached in San Diego. So he's got the resume for it, I think.
I think for him, I think he fits perfectly fine in the role that he's going to be doing. But sometimes you could be a great coach and you just coach a bad team. I mean, look at Saleh with the Jets, right? Saleh's a great head coach. He fit perfectly into that role. And I can't believe they won as many games as they did this year because their roster overall is not great yet. So it's not something to marvel over. So he's just a really great coach. The Indianapolis Colts have a lot of stuff to work on until they become a great team again.
But they have some great pieces there, right? If you're a young coach like Steichen, that's a pretty good gig, I think. I mean, I know your owner's a nutcase, but you've got some nice pieces there. Jonathan Taylor, Shaq Leonard. I mean, DeForest Buckner.
Yeah.
You've got
And
some
Mike,
nice pieces.
you want to think you like to think they're going to give him at least 2-3 years to work on it. They're not going to be bend or break his ass the first year. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And you are. I mean, that team is a quarterback away from being a playoff team. It seems to me. Matt Ryan's too old to get it done.
Well, that's because the division's not that great. I mean,
I'm surprised the Colts.
Yeah, I mean the Colts.
What's that?
Division. When you look at the Colts division,
ahead,
that's because they're in a bad division.
Yeah,
you know they're only the Jags are the team in the division now. So I mean, the Colts. I mean, Irsay may be a lot of things, but I think he'll be loyal. He's loyal to his coaches. That you have to really be doing something bad, just outside of losing, for him to fire you. I think any coach using a hire was going to be a 3 to 5 year project anyways. And they know they're not that good. They have some good pieces. They're going to get their quarterback in the draft. And unfortunately, there's going to be a lot of pressure on this kid. Luckily, he's going to Indianapolis where the media is not so bad. As say in New York, Chicago, LA kind of situation. So, but, I think if they make, hey, we expect to win 6 to 9 games and make that their expectation. I think whoever that, if he does go there, is hired, I think he's going to be fine for him because he can grow that team over 2 or 3 years. Wow.
Yeah, I think that's a good call out. The division, AFC South, NFC South, both really weak this year. What do you got on that, James?
I agree with that. They have been pretty weak, and like you said, it wouldn't take much for him to even be. They could get that even challenging for second if they could be even behind the Jags in second in the division, just for a little fight to start off with. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, and like Mike Ken said, like a 3 to 5 year project. So they're gonna give him time, to build within the team. You know what I'm saying? Build up with some draft picks or whatever capital they can put together. I just don't think they're ready. We have to worry about them for at least a couple years as far as the Colts.
I see them bringing in a veteran, a bridge quarterback, obviously to bridge that gap between the rookie they're obviously going to draft this year. Maybe Gardner Minshew comes over with him from Philadelphia as the bridge, a little mustache action. Speaking of mustache, what do you got on that, Mike? Oh, Mike's not in anymore. We pulled Mike out. Bill, the Packer fan, what do you think about your neighbors down there in Indy and the offensive coordinator of the Eagles going there? It's a boring topic, I know. But we can't talk about Aaron Rodgers every freaking minute of the show.
You're on mute.
Mute your mic, Bill.
No, don't tell him.
I was actually, hey, Mike, like you said, it's kind of a boring topic, but it's also kind of a boring city down there. You know what I mean? But I was wondering, since is Ken Dobbs still on here? I actually had.
Yeah, Ken's in.
Hey, Ken, so you had so much knowledge about this subject. How come the Bears are in the basement if you have, you got such knowledge of the subject?
Because they're in the basement. I mean, you can have a team that's one of the youngest in the league. They are competitive in most games, and you can still have the season they had. And we know in the NFL, teams can go from worst to first in one season. They can go from first to worst in one season.
I'm not sure I've ever seen a team go worst to first before in a season. I'm not sure I've ever seen it.
2021 Cincinnati Bengals.
Who were the worst team in the league.
They were last place in the division. Then they go to the Super Bowl the next year. I mean, divisionally, I'm talking worst to first. Winning the whole thing, I don't think the Bears are going to win the Super Bowl next year. Are they going to be more competitive? Sure they are. They were pretty competitive this year. Do I expect them to be better than 3 wins next year? Yes, I do. So, I mean, when you look at the NFL, the parity of the league is so tight that any team can be 1 to 2 players away from being a 1 to 3 win team or a 10 win team or a 13 win team. I mean, so Indianapolis, they're in a weak division. They've got some really good players already around them. If they get the right head coach with a young quarterback, who I think they'll start right away, that's where the one thing they'll probably mess up because they don't want to. They're so shell shocked from bringing all the veterans in. Minshew's not going to go there.
I could actually see the Colts going for Heineke and trying to bridge the gap with someone like that instead.
Yeah,
not trying to draft a quarterback, not tanking. You don't really tank for a quarterback when you have. The Colts don't have a big roster. The Colts don't have like this horrible bad roster. Their defense is pretty good. They have pieces that are actually really solid. Make something great out of that team if you got some external pieces to actually help the quarterback
Compete,
position. Yeah. Your wide receiver position obviously needs someone else on it. You don't have a reliable tight end. You need certain pieces to make it better, but it could be great with what they have.
I think so too.
No one in this league takes uses the number one pick to get a quarterback and then sits them for a season. No. It just doesn't happen. The Bears said we're going to sit Fields for a season. That lasted all of 4 games, and we pulled Red Rocket out. I mean, this whole concept of a bridge quarterback. Look at the only team, and Bill and Nick get ready. The only team that's done it right in the last 8 years is freaking Green Bay. When they
because we know how to develop players, we don't throw them out to the wolves.
I just wanted to hold on.
Wait a minute.
Hold on, Ken. You're talking about the Red Rifle?
Red Rifle, yeah.
You said Red Rocket. That's what my dog has, the Red Rocket.
They call him the Red Rocket, but anyways.
No, it's the Red Rifle. Well, it's the Red Rifle. It's not the Red Rocket.
Hey,
that term has specifically been designated for canines.
Hey, main event, Mike. I just want to let you know we got a new guest on the show. His name is Rock Lockwood. He's a Detroit Eagle fan. He's an Eagle fan.
That's Rocco. We had Rocco on the main event before.
Yeah. What's up, Rock? I inboxed him to try to get him on so we can get his take on what exactly happened.
Welcome to the show, Rocco. We're glad to have you back.
What's up,
I'm gonna call you out now, Rocco. When you were on the show earlier this season, you weren't that hyped up about your Eagles. Our producer Russ Wayne predicted them to go to the Super Bowl, and when he said that, you kind of was like, I don't know if we're that good.
I didn't think we were ready to be.
Were you surprised that your team had the season that it did?
I was a little bit, I was a little bit surprised. I didn't think we would go all the way to the Super Bowl. I thought we would win a playoff game or two, and I thought we would get to a championship game, and possibly compete for a Super Bowl. But to actually get there, no, I didn't think that we would be good enough to go there yet. I thought we were maybe a year or two away.
So right, I know. Russ and I were talking. I was like, the Eagles are 11-0. Rocco's probably shitting himself. Like, holy cow. Congratulations on your NFC Championship, Rocco. I know you fan hard, so I know you appreciate it over there.
For sure,
Did anybody burn any couches or cars on fire when you guys won the championship?
Well, I could say that my neighborhood looks clean. You know what I mean? Nobody went crazy last night.
Hey, main event, Mike. I did hear though in Philly.
Hey, Rock, I want you to express it on the big stage, man. I already know your opinion on it. Tell the world how you feel about the last call and the breakdown of the game, all that shit, man. This is your time to get it out. Get it out, man.
Well, see what I feel about the last call, and y'all could say what you want to say. I think the officials should have kept the flag in the pocket for one reason.
I agree.
Leave the game in the players' hands. It's a 3-point game, okay? Everybody knows Kansas City was going to get the 3 points. That's a clear fucking indication. Everybody knows that. Go ahead, get the kicks out of the way. That's 15 seconds. Run off the clock. You got 40 seconds left. Leave it up to the Eagles and 40 seconds. If we're really good enough, then fucking leave it in our hands to be good enough.
Don't
at least have a chance to sit it overtime.
That was a pretty damn good take. I like
it. Yeah, I like it. McKinnon did the smart thing, and he got out of bounds right before the end zone. They actually had 7 until he did that.
Right.
Yeah, he almost slid his ass right in there too.
But look, I can't sit there. Again, I really didn't care who was going to win. But on the last show, I said the Chiefs are going to win 37-34, and there's going to be some controversy called the very end of the game.
Absolutely.
You called that, Nick. Nick, you called that.
So they won 38-35, and now it's considered a controversial call. For me, here's the thing, though. I can't consider it crazy controversial. It's not like the Rams versus the Saints in this instance because in my opinion,
that was blatant.
Yeah. That was the worst in history.
In my opinion, Sanders he made a football move. He planted both feet on the ground. He fumbled the ball. Also, in my opinion, there's no way Dallas Goedert caught that ball. He did not have possession when he took his hand off the ball and he was moving on his helmet in between his hand and he went out of bounds. There's just no way.
All right, then you shouldn't have let him get a playoff because that's the rule. If they snap the ball on the next play, you can't review it.
And they rushed
crazy.
it too.
That was crazy.
They rushed it too. They knew that play was in question. They did the smart
Every
thing.
NFL team every week does that.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a routine thing. Hurry up, run it because we know that shit wasn't a catch. They got that wrong. Let's snap the ball.
Run it.
I can't sit here and feel like the Chiefs were just favored all game by the refs or something crazy like that because
I'm not saying that.
No,
How
it
could you
wasn't
didn't they let
biased.
two
No.
plays go by? Russ and I were like throwing our hands up, going, "What is going on?"
Yeah.
I think that's a
Yeah, if you're gonna sit back and blame
like
the
Epstein
refs.
hung himself. They just don't talk about it.
Yeah, if you're gonna
Yeah.
sit back and blame the refs, you might as well just go ahead and put a Kirk Cousins jersey on too. You know?
Oh, what the fuck?
I mean, if you look at the NFC Championship, NFC Championship, Super Bowl, and you look throughout the season, I think one of the rules the NFL is going to look at this year is this notion of what is a complete reception. And the idea that, like Nick said, well, the ball moved a little while he had it, but he still has possession. I think, they're going to relook that, like this no ball movement part. I think that's something they could stand to get rid of. The ball.
I agree. That's stupid.
Yeah.
As long as it don't fall, as long as it you.
Well, on that play, Nick is right though, because his leg was lifting up, bro, as he bobbled it.
Right.
If I still have if the ball's coming down my body with my hand over it, and I still have positive control of it, I have possession. Now, if I bobble it and the ball's in the air a little bit, I don't have positive possession. I think that might be the change we see.
Hey Ken, if you were right, bro, I think it should be two ways, just like that. As long as I don't bobble it, and as long as I don't use the ground to catch it, bro, it should be clear as long as I'm in bounds. It should be a catch.
Yep. And if the ball comes out like, okay, I'm on the ground, my back hit the ground, and now I let the ball out. Okay.
We got Anthony Stewart saying he wants to join.
Well,
but that's why the rule sucks, because out of 100 people, 50 are going to say this and 50 are going to say that. It's so gray what a catch is at this point.
Yeah.
That how could you even determine what the rules should be anymore? You know what I mean?
They need to redefine it.
Good point.
They need to find
They change the shit up every week. You're right. Every week they level the playing field different with that shit, man.
Like, well, because he was in the end zone and got pushed out of bounds, it's different than if he was in the end zone and landed inbounds.
Yeah, they go off the dynamic of the play, man.
So again, how's that possession? But when Sanders caught the ball, completely turned around, put both his feet down, that's not possession, though. Like I'm finding it so hard to define.
That was a close play too. That was close.
That's
what I look at too is this.
Very close.
And this was a big factor
the problem with
last
that.
night.
The problem with that was.
Well, here's
Go ahead,
this
A-Dub.
was the problem last night.
Say the problem
It was
with
a
that.
complete pass, but he went out of bounds in the process of the play. Therefore, it counts as making a substitution, and Kansas City has a right to make substitutions. Well, wait a minute. No, because the Eagles kept all the same players on the field. No substitution was made. But by rule, because the completion ended up with him going out of bounds, you had to give Kansas City a time to swap people out.
A chance. I never heard that. They said that you had to give him a chance to man up. I give him a chance to align and shit.
What happened last night?
They're the ones that spot the ball. The referees spot the ball. They hold the ball. They don't set it down until it's time for you to snap it.
Right.
They're the ones who decide. It's ridiculous.
John Dorn says same old Lions. So John Dorn's on bullshit.
Good looking out, John Dorn.
Good looking out, John Dorn.
Yeah.
Hey, we actually got A-Dub in the house. I want to hear from A-Dub real quick. He's usually got a good take. What team do you rep again, A-Dub? I forget.
He's got a little delay, guys, so you have to give him time.
I know. I'm used to it now.
Okay, go ahead, A-Dub.
Yeah, I said I represent for Green Bay.
Okay. I had it wrong last time.
Smart guy.
So, what's your take on that, A-Dub?
Take on the Super Bowl.
On the catch rule, and you go and give us your thoughts on the Super Bowl. What'll stick out for you? What'll stick out for you 10 years from now about this Super Bowl?
What sticks out from is the second half run that the Kansas City Chiefs made, the way they adjusted to what they saw from the Eagles. I mean, whether there was a controversial call in the end or not, the fact of the matter was Kansas City, they just pretty much adapted and adjusted to what the Eagles were doing. Like sure, you got to start off slow, but I always say about how you can. And Kansas City was a better team, and they finished strong in the end, being able to adjust and adapt to what we saw for the Eagles as far as their aggressive play calling and everything else. So that's what sticks out to me.
Absolutely. That's a good call out. In fact, it really highlights how big that scoop and score was for Kansas City, that first defensive touchdown that they got, because I mean, they could have been down 2 touchdowns going into the half, and that would have been a harder hole for them to dig out. But I think A-Dub's point is they were out coached. Nick, I want your opinion on that. Do you think Andy Reid out coached Nick Sirianni badly?
I think Andy Reid, even when he was in Philadelphia, 9 times out of 10 out coaches the opposition. I know that Philadelphia didn't win the Super Bowl and all, I get it, but Andy Reid specifically, individually, continually outcoached the opposition, put his team in the position to win against the Patriots in that Super Bowl. He did everything he could as a coach that you could. Yeah. They just didn't get it done. So, yes, absolutely. I think the Eagles coach also was very distasteful at the very end when he was trying to mock the Chiefs and talk shit. And Hurts was actually sitting there like, hey, man, like Hurts was the adult in that situation to his coach. I thought that was crazy.
I'm so glad you called that out. Also, Nick Sirianni flipped him off when they were challenging. He flipped the bird over there. One of his own players had to grab him and go, hey, man, are you kidding me? Did anybody else see some crazy antic behavior from Sirianni? He really put a bad taste in my mouth after this game about this guy. Greg Rice, did you see any of this?
I mean, I think, to be honest with you guys, I don't mean to put down like Philly or anything. I think it just goes with the way their kind of their culture is there. It's just real like it's the way the fan base is, the way the team is. Brandon Graham, it's just part of their stigma. I'm not saying it was classy or anything. It was a little distasteful, but I mean, hey, in the end, it is what it is.
You know what's funny about Sirianni? He gave us 2 of the best emotional moments of the game. His tears during the national anthem.
Was
good
call.
Side of it. And then the bad side was the flip off, and I'm not gonna shake your hand. The dude is super emotional. That's his one maybe good/bad thing. Because if you looked at him at the national anthem, I mean, that was legit tears, like feeling it. And then at the end of the game, I kind of, Greg, I kind of agree with you too. It's a little bit of the culture of Philly. Yeah. But I think the guy's just super emotional, and that's how he doesn't know how to deal with his emotions as a head coach yet.
Well, it definitely has its positives. For example, the Lions head coach is extremely passionate, and I mean, Matt LaFleur, I'm sitting there, I'm like,
you've had enough of that shit.
Sometimes he's being so vanilla and boring. And Rodgers is the one that's giving all the emotion out. Crazy, man.
Can I say something to John Dorn? Hey, John Dorn, when you say same old Lions, we haven't said anything about the Lions, dude. Can you read? Do you know how to pay attention to the show? We're talking about the Super Bowl, something the Lions have never even been in before, and you say same old Lions while we're talking about the Super Bowl.
Same old Lions.
John Dorn, how you doing out there, buddy? What's going on?
John, I did send you the link, John, if you did want to jump on.
And he's excited for that rumor for Aaron Rodgers' new contract. Real excited about
John
it.
Goes on every
I want to put a shout out to Lisa. What's up? She says, hey, y'all.
What's up, Lisa?
What up?
Hey,
That's a good segue, Russ, for the new Main Event 365 show will be premiering soon. It's called Terrible Takes with John Dorn.
Terrible Takes.
You guys be sure to tune in, and I'll give you an overview of the show. Same old Lions, same old Lions, same old Lions. That's his entire take.
Oh God, man!
All right.
Well, speaking. Justin Fields sucks. Justin Fields sucks. Justin Fields sucks. And for Minnesota, I believe he says Cousins is trash. Cousins is trash. Cousins is trash. Every fan base in the North has an issue with John Dorn.
I love John Dorn. I like John Dorn.
I don't have any issues. He's just horrible takes. Whatever.
We love John Dorn. Are you kidding?
John Dorn's a homer motherfucker.
Gregory.
No, this is all in good fun, man. Come on, John Dorn knows that he can give it out and take it, so it's all good.
He can.
I mean, he looks like a soybean farmer from Oshkosh, but he can take it. He can dish it out.
I think at certain times during these seasons, for example, this year it would be a great season as a Packers fan to just accept, like, I get trash talking, but when we suck, we suck. And I'm going to sit here and go, you know what? I'm going to have, like the other night, the Lions were the best team in the North this year. They beat us. They took us down. The Vikings were extremely overrated. I still think the Lions are better than them this year. And look, let's be honest. The Lions are literally the only team in the North right now that you could logically say they're trending upward no matter what happens at this point. Because the
That's
Bears,
a great take.
yeah, well,
And that's why us Lion fans are so cocky these days on social media, because we're not used to it, man.
I get it.
We didn't make the playoffs, and you know we're still going to give as much as we can because you know we're used to being in the basement. And I know the Bears are keeping the seat warm for us right now, but
that's what I'm saying.
We don't plan on being there for a while.
We have to learn eventually to be humble as Packers fans at some point, because the day is coming. It's coming. I mean, I'll be here for it, but it's coming.
Well,
you know what I mean?
let's take a comment right here from Gregory Walker asking what's going on with the Packers and Aaron Rodgers, who's going to be the QB. So that's really the big question. What do you want to see happen, Nick, with this situation?
Well, I don't know who Aaron Rodgers is, but if he's talking about Aaron Rodgers,
Aaron.
Who you go?
It's my quarterback.
Hey,
here's what I
also you should maybe ask the other Packer fan, Ken.
well, Greg's thing says
Aaron is going to end up in Green Bay. I mean,
Aaron.
Here's what I want to see. Here's what I want to see. I think that we still have the roster and we still have everything put together in a way. And I think that Watson and Dobbs developed enough that I'd like to see it one last time with Rodgers. Just one last time. If we don't get it done, get the hell out of here. We're ready to move on. Like, I'm ready to move on at some point, you know?
I agree with
Right.
you.
They might have to let Aaron Rodgers dictate the whole draft. What if they did that? Go ahead, Aaron. Whatever you think. Whatever you think we need to keep.
I'm not sure who the Facebook user is. You got to let us know who that is so we know who to send a link to.
But there it is. It's managed to find its way back to Aaron Rodgers, and it's not because this is an NFC North group. It's because this is such a hot topic around the league, because this is just how Aaron Rodgers wants it. Everyone talking about him, wondering where he's going to go, what he's going to do.
Right.
Personally, I think he stays in Green Bay, and he owns it, man. He's a legend. Why would you leave? I think he's got enough team there in Green Bay. They could compete if they help him out a little. They are cap strapped, but they can make some adjustments. They can make some moves and get a few draft picks, and they could be. Wouldn't surprise anyone if they were 13-3 again next year. No.
Main event, Mike. So is the reason why you're digging Rodgers so much is because he felt bad and gave you guys 2 wins this year, or what?
I couldn't hear you there, Bill, because somebody was banging around. I didn't hear it. I want to hear it.
Oh, I said I forgot what I said now. See, you guys got
wait, maybe it went like this.
You said Christmas.
Yeah,
He said we should get a decent corner in the ground.
I'll take the words of Steven. We couldn't hear you from third place, man. I didn't hear it.
Oh, don't worry. We're saving the couch. We're keeping it nice and warm for you guys for next season. But hey, you guys are gonna have to fight Ken Dobb for an arm. An arm on the side. He likes to sit on the left side.
Hey, if you're lucky, you can pick up Jordan Love's 5th-year option and spend $70 million on your quarterbacks.
Well, actually, we were going to take the 5th-year option, and then Detroit's been bugging us. They were going to send us 2 first and a second because they don't have faith in golf next season. They'd rather roll a Love.
And now we see why crack sales are up in Green Bay. And you know what's actually funny, though? We're talking about Aaron. You're right. We went back to Aaron. But the news, the quarterback that's actually really holding someone hostage worse than Aaron, Derek Carr.
Great call out.
Big news today.
He's not going to let the Raiders trade him. So he's basically telling the Raiders, hey, see this middle finger? Yeah. You want to bench me and talk stuff? Guess what? I'm going to hold you. Basically, the Raiders can't do anything unless Derek Carr says so. And Derek's like, I'm not going to let you trade me. You're going to have to pay me next year to basically sit around and collect a check, or
Or
you're
cut
going
me.
to have to cut me, which now you're going to take a cap hit, and I'm going to sign wherever I want. You don't get a say in it, and you're getting nothing for it.
Let me give you the
Damn.
details on that, Ken. That's a great call out, Ken.
Yeah.
Let me give you the details on
Damn.
that. Today, Derek Carr exercised his no trade clause in his contract and told the Las Vegas Raiders that no, you're not going to trade me. And he is due a roster bonus on what? Oh, yeah, the day after tomorrow. On Wednesday, they will owe him $32 million guaranteed. They are going to have to release him. They're going to have to flat out release him where he can be a free agent, control his own destiny, go anywhere he wants, sign anywhere he wants. That's a great call out, Ken. And you know, it's going to be interesting in the Aaron Rodgers saga because whatever hole Derek Carr plugs, that's one that Aaron Rodgers won't be going to.
Well,
so
no,
it's a good call out.
necessarily.
James, what are your thoughts on the Derek Carr situation?
Shit, that motherfucker saying you ain't getting me away from my baby Adams that goddamn fast. Hey, I like it, bro. Especially if you have the leverage to make that move. Hell yeah, make that. Hell, because either I'm the starter next year, or you give me all that goddamn money still, and I go find a team like New Orleans or whoever that I want to play for. You're not just going to send me anywhere.
That's right. And then you send a box of cigars to your agent.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Greg Rice, what do you think of that?
I mean, when I look at the whole situation, I was not a fan of the Josh McDaniels move. I think that dude's claim to fame, his one playoff little run, was Tim Tebow magic. Other than that, Josh McDaniels, just like every other Patriot reject, has been riding Bill Belichick's coattails. I think Derek Carr is a very good second, maybe third tier, at least top half of the league quarterback. I think anywhere he goes, he is going to make that team better. The way the Raiders handled that situation by making him sit home the next two games, this dude's a four-year Gold Star captain. Like, what is that all about? It made no sense to me. It was a classless move by the Raiders, and essentially an organization that has had quite a history of doing some kind of suspect things. I think I really feel McDaniels and the GM's just going to run that team into the ground. And you went from a fringe wild card playoff team the year before to what they were last year. Bring in Adams, you bring in Chandler Jones, and how you got worse, even though we all thought last year that division was going to kill it. It's just beyond me, man. I'm happy for Derek Carr that he's sticking it to the Raiders. Do your thing, man. Hopefully he goes and signs with the Saints, you know? That would be the kicker for this.
I'd like to
And
see
that's a
that
place
too.
that Rodgers can't go. You know, you said that anywhere Carr goes, it means that's it's a hole that Rodgers can't. Well, Rodgers can't fill any holes in the NFC. The Packers have already said as much. So it changes the dynamic of the entire market. But Carr can go to a New Orleans, and it has no effect on where Aaron could go if he goes to an NFC team. So there's that piece too. So there's some similarities, but some differences in what clubs and organizations have said. The Packers aren't going to let him stay in the NFC. They're crazy too, that because they've already said it, and they don't want to see him during the year at all. So they're going to ship him to an AFC team if anywhere. Carr, with what he's doing, he can go anywhere. He can stay in the division. If he really wants to stick and say, you know what, ship Russ off in a massive trade, get rid of him, and I'm coming to you, Denver. You know, I mean, he could do that. Whereas Rodgers has zero say, zero pull.
Well, what if the Bears trade Fields for Carr?
Why? You know, we saw last night why the Bears.
He has a no trade clause.
Trade.
Carr said he would go play in Chicago. He'd be
There's no way to get
happen
rid of Russ.
Because the Bears have watched Hurts' progression and saw what he did last night and said, okay, our guy's similar. So it made the case last night why you don't trade Fields unless you're a complete idiot.
I didn't see a similarity with Fields and Hurts last night.
Progression.
Me neither.
I saw the opposite.
They're talking about the progression of his game from season to season, and they're looking at that with Fields too.
He's
so real quick, Ken,
one of the worst passers in history already.
Real quick, Ken. So look, man, I've seen this in a lot of Bears things, man, with this progression that Hurts took, and that's where Bears fans think that Fields can go. Look, man, Hurts was behind the best offensive line in the league, had arguably the best 1-2 punch wide receiver grouping, has a top 5 tight end. That is a lot of holes to fill to meet that. You know what I'm saying, man? Like lot.
I get you. I get you. And the Bears, but they don't have that. They have the best running game. in the division, in the league, top 5 rushing in the division. Their
Yeah.
offensive line, if you look at a lot of the sacks he took last year, he took more coverage sacks than did O-line sacks. So, I mean, there's going to be improvement, but even throughout this season, you saw his improvement and his impact on the team. I mean, and here's the other thing. Ryan Poles, if he trades Fields, that's when he says, all my money is put on whoever I'm drafting with that number 1 pick. And if we don't win within 2 years, I'm out of a job.
Man, I miss Detroit Jesus. I miss Detroit Jesus right now. He needs to come in and go, you're crazy, bro. Justin Fields is ass. He ain't no comparison to Jalen Hurts at all. So, I mean, I don't get it. Jalen Hurts, we've seen progression because he can throw to receivers. He can go through checkdowns. He can go through progressions. It's not even the same thing, right? I mean, it's apples and oranges. Just because you're 2 running quarterbacks or quarterbers that can run, I think there's night and day between these guys. Justin Fields just doesn't have what Jalen Hurts has.
Did you watch Fields and some of the throws he made this year?
I did in 2 games, in fact, against Detroit.
He flashed, but I mean, there's a big difference between flashing and hitting that consistency.
And Jalen Hurts flashed.
He can't read defenses, Ken. He can't read defenses.
Hey, Mike, I have to call you out. I have to call you out right here. I can't believe that you fell for this right here. How in the hell did you let a couple of Bear fans turn the subject from Derek Carr into Justin Fields? I can't believe that you let this happen. We were talking about Derek Carr holding Las Vegas hostage, and all of a sudden we're talking about how fast Fields is and what he looks like. I think he can throw the football. No, he hasn't proven that he can throw the football in the NFL
this is from
yet.
an Ohio State fan.
An Ohio State fan. He was great at Ohio State. He ain't proved he can do none of that shit.
Something I always notice about Justin Fields, I've said this for the last 2 years about Justin Fields in the NFL, specifically his NFL career. Jalen Hurts can give some touch on a deep pass. He can float the ball, whereas I swear, whenever you watch Fields do it, he bullets the ball no matter where it is every single time, and that's why you see a lot of his deep passes go to the dirt. It's a problem that he has where he winds up his arm way too aggressively on his team.
Okay.
And it's what made Aaron Rodgers so great. It's what makes Matt Stafford great and Mahomes great. They have arm talent. Justin Fields doesn't have it.
No. I'll call that out right there. I know he has the talent to do it. He just has not done it in the NFL. I've seen him
throwing from different angles, throwing the 20-yard out.
He can make great throws.
He can't make all the throws.
Mistakes. I think he struggles with his touch mightily. He bullets the shit out of that ball.
Can't make all the throws, man. I like the kid.
Okay.
I think it was terrible that he got slaughtered out there this year, and that they didn't draft anything to help him. Yeah,
he makes a lot of
great.
Touch.
Yeah, the other corner's great, but they didn't get him any weapons. They didn't get anything for him. Nobody protected him. They let him out there to get destroyed.
Russell can agree with me on this. And if you look at if you look at what Fields did,
hold on. Let's let A-Dub get one in. Everybody wait for the lag. Go ahead, A-Dub. And there it is.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Mike, what you talking about right now is one of the reasons I felt the Bears would struggle this year. Like, considering the kind of draft and free agency moves they made, they didn't do the best job to build around Fields' talent.
Absolutely. They did nothing for him. I know that Mike the Bear fan's going to chime in and tell us what a great draft Chicago had, but they didn't do anything to help that kid. That's for sure.
Well, they drafted defensively. They drafted defense, and they had a phenomenal. And they drafted one of the best. In fact, PFF graded their offensive line draft, rookie draft, who started all year, as the best rookie offensive lineman this year. So they did do something to help. I think the problem you had with Chicago was in its receiving core, we had no consistency. At no point did we have a full. Well, Clayton obviously hasn't had a full season, but we never had a Clayton Mooney tandem available on the field. And like I said earlier, Fields took a lot of sacks that were coverage sacks, not O-line sacks. So the problem we have right now with Chicago is creating space and getting receivers open. Some of that's game plan. right? Because look how Minnesota in week 1 game plan Jefferson wide open on the Packers all day long. It wasn't that the Packers weren't good.
No, we left him wide open.
Well, but
and you guys have a lack of
game
talent.
plan.
I mean, you guys. I mean, you can't scheme. You can't scheme talent into the spaces. You guys were behind the 8 ball at the beginning of the season, and then you traded away your best players. After
defensively.
Yeah, you drafted defense, but you got rid of Roquan and Robert Quinn. So you did nothing to help Justin Fields. You did nothing to help
Roquan. Getting rid of Roquan, when you look what Sanborn did and replaced Roquan, he outperformed Roquan. So,
I think he did out
Sanborn
He did not. Roquan Smith made the Pro Bowl.
Look at the numbers.
Say he outperformed Roquan?
Look at the numbers.
That's not true.
Mike, look at the numbers. We were talking about on our show every week. We were surprised at how his numbers were actually outdoing Roquan for the Bears.
The kid. Roquan Smith made the Pro Bowl for the Baltimore Ravens.
That's great. He did that with Baltimore. But when you look what he did in Chicago versus what Nick Sanborn did when he came in to start, and Mike is on right now, he'll even tell you, and he might have the numbers graphics still. We were putting the graphics up side by side, Roquan versus Sanborn. Sanborn was outproducing Roquan. So when you come to talk to me about how bad the Bears are with numbers, dude, have the numbers. Mike's got them. I've seen them. We know for a fact that Nick Sanborn, as a Bear this season, outproduced Roquan Smith. So that's why Poles made the decision to trade him, because he knew he could, because he had a guy there who could do it.
Is it Nick Sanborn or Jack Sanborn?
Jack, sorry.
Yeah, no problem. No, I just want to make sure I had it right.
Everything that you're saying
So
right
you're
now,
telling me the numbers bear it out. Statistically, he had a better year than Roquan did.
But what Ken's doing is he's making the team sound so much better than the way that everyone else sees them. And what you're doing, Ken, is you're creating one common denominator. It's all Fields' fault then at this point, or else what is it?
You guys jump.
I like it.
The problem with the Bears is we had no pressure from the front.
You're talking about how great everything was for you guys everywhere. Then there's only one reason at this point that it could
Nick,
be.
Our biggest problem last year defensively, we got no pressure on the quarterback at all. We had zero pressure on the quarterback. Our front four was terrible. So getting rid of Goldman, okay, maybe that was a bad move. Maybe it wasn't. The money saved. But that we had no pressure on the quarterback. Offensively, we just could not get receivers open where Fields needs to improve. Fields, a couple times he should have let the ball go. That he didn't, and he has said it himself. He has to get more comfortable to put the ball in some tighter spots than he was willing to do. Because there are lots of times he's waiting for the perfect opening. Dude, this is the NFL. The perfect opening is not going to happen, right? So from that perspective, the offensive problem was the separation wasn't happening enough to the point where Fields would release the ball, and part of that's on Fields. On defense, we had zero pressure on opposing quarterbacks. Zero.
Well, talking about the Roquan thing, I was saying it for a couple years. He deserved to go to the Pro Bowl way before this year. It just so happened him going to the Ravens that did it.
Yeah, as a Raven.
All right, we gotta lighten it. We gotta lighten this up, guys.
Yeah, let's lighten it up.
Yeah, we gotta lighten this up. We've been talking about a 3-win team way too long here about the ins and outs of a
You're the one that brought it
linebacker.
up. Just because we're defending it, you want to switch it up. Okay, it's cool.
Russ, I have a question for Nick. Russ, Nick, can you give me the proper pronunciation of your general manager's last name?
You're not talking about Murphy. You're talking about Goody?
Yeah. What's his last name and how's it pronounced?
I believe it's.
You don't know.
Goodness.
You fucking
We just call
know.
him Goody. We just call him Goody.
I believe it's Goodness.
We just call him Goody. Goody's kind of cute with a real nice booty. Goody.
And Mike, by the way, I didn't change it to Justin Fields. Ken changed it to Justin Fields from
It
Derek
actually
Carr.
got switched a couple times. I'm just trying to jump in and say my part, like you already know. If we would have kept Roquan, we would have got a compensatory pick because we weren't signing him. We already had this discussion. They already threw the last bid in at the beginning of 2022. They weren't into an agreement. So why is it in the best interest for the Bears to trade them away for 2 picks, which one of them we got Claypool out of it? Like,
I agree, Mike.
Russell,
I agree. I'm not slamming the move.
And Russell,
I'm not slamming the move. I mean, you could have though. You could have invested money there and gotten Fields some help.
You always say
and
that,
Russell,
but we didn't have the money for the help. It takes a couple years for help. We actually did have a little help. They just didn't do shit.
Okay, so
and
what
Russell,
I
switched the subject. I switched the subject from Rodgers to Carr. Then Nick brought up Justin Fields as being where Carr would go to replace
so this
Fields.
is Nick's
So blame
fault.
the Packer fan for changing Fields.
Always my fault.
Okay,
It is.
So here we go. Let's look at this while we're talking. I made this nice little graphic right here. Goff is better than Justin Fields, yes or no? Let's. I mean, who are you going to take on your team right now?
It's not a real question, is it?
Well, I'm.
He goes to me. So if I look at right now today, Goff is the better quarterback today, complete. If I look at potential, I take Fields.
Upside.
Okay.
Upside. Yep. Upside's Fields all day. He's got it. Goff right now, where he sits today with his experience and everything else, is a much better player of the game right now. He understands the game better than Fields does, and that's because he's had the time. So, that's what I hate about these kind of comparisons, with any kind of comparison, when you got a guy who's been in the league 2 years versus a guy who's been 5 or 6.
Jared Goff is only 28, though. It's not like he's old or anything.
Goff did a phenomenal job for Detroit this year. I think he should have been most improved in the NFL, but what do I know, right? I'm just a Bears fan. But no, right now, today, I'd say Goff is, but if I look down the road, Fields is going to be the much better quarterback at the end of the day.
So, I feel that, and when I put stuff like this together, I'm trying to challenge somebody, because everybody on this panel obviously knows about football, about both of the guys. And so what I challenge people to do is like this 5-year window, right? Let's see what 5 years from now, obviously you want Justin Fields, he's younger and all that stuff, but that's really how I want you to look at this. Don't gush on both players. You did a good job, Ken, by the way, but for everybody else, when you answer this question, don't just gush on both players. Try to make if you're the GM, who are you going to take for the future? And you mean if you're
Gutekunst? Gutekunst? If you're Gutekunst, what would you do?
Gutekunst?
Yeah, if you can say his name, then you should be picking the team anyway.
Hey, let's
Bill, can you accurately pronounce your GM Rumpelstiltskin?
You mean Brian Gutekunst? Yes, I can.
Wait a minute, that isn't right.
Gutekunst.
Gutekunst.
Yeah.
I guess
don't you have that Bill, don't you have that T-shirt link on your Bill the Packer fan page where you could custom make a T-shirt?
Yeah.
How about this for a T-shirt? And I want the panel's opinion. You don't get many T-shirts about GMs, so I'll have one that says Gutekunst smokes poles.
Oh my God. Yo, what? I would never wear that.
Hey, everybody. I just want to welcome to the panel Sir Rocker from the VWO, Rob Haspels.
Rob.
It's his first time coming on this show, so.
Skull, Rob.
What's up?
Hey, that's 3 musicians on this panel right here. We're dominating, Mike.
There we go.
Are you a bass player, Rob?
Yeah.
He's
you don't seem bipolar.
Yeah, I can play a bass, guitar, keyboards, pretty much anything but drums. So,
welcome to the program, representing the Vikings.
He's pretty good at doing songs on the fly too, to the time, like to the game today or whatnot. He could whip a song together like nothing.
I do parodies. Awesome. I used to do what we call American Song of the Week. So let's say the Packers would have a really bad win and do something stupid. I'd take a song everybody knows, put funny lyrics to it, shorten it up, and then go and play it in the group.
So you're like Weird Al.
Weird Al kind of stuff. Yep.
I'm the master of that. That's awesome. I'd love to get with you on that.
Can do.
Done that. We've been doing that all our lives, ain't we, Russ?
That's right.
Changing the words.
David Hall says Rob plays the skin flute.
Yeah, but you know what's funny though? We never heard any of Rob's music when we were in Iraq together, and I wondered why.
I had my guitars over there, man.
I never heard you play. We spent
maybe it's because it's a war.
Never heard you play.
Hey, Rob, why don't you come up with a song about Kirk Cousins leaving and you don't have a quarterback developed yet?
Because it would be false. It would be absolutely false.
So who are you currently developing, Nick Green?
Who am I?
Nick Green. No,
I guess they're developing you, Nick.
not-
I didn't know, you know.
I'm actually not mad about Nick Mullins being the backup. However, they do need to pick somebody up. There's guys to be had in later rounds. I don't know the guy from Stanford, McKee. I've seen a lot of articles about him later rounds, like a third day pick sometime. 6'6", 230 pounds, more of developmental type, but you've got Cousins for at least guaranteed one more year, if not two. And you might take a later round flyer on a guy that you want to develop. So,
well, can we all agree?
Good reports in the Senior Bowl on Tanner McKee. That's a good call out. That might be a late round steal for some team.
The worst pick in the draft for quarterbacks recently for the NFC North is by far Kellen Mond, like by a long shot. Astronomical long shot.
Well, I was so freaking pissed when they picked him. I was like, "What in the hell are you guys thinking?"
What round was that, Rob?
Huh?
What round was that for Kellen Mond?
I believe it was third.
Third round. Yeah, I didn't really have a problem with that. I mean, moving up 4 spots to get Justin Fields is not looking as good as that.
I mean,
go ahead, Mike, the Bear fan. What do you got to say about that?
It's just the same old shit, you know what I mean? But if I bring up 85 Bears at all, it's like, bringing up the parents.
There it is. He said it.
We won't mention when you drafted Fields then. We'll mention when you drafted Trubisky instead of Mahomes.
Here's the thing.
As soon as he gets his peak, you guys will be like, oh, I'm wrong. I mean,
Mike,
not even 300 days ago, not even a year.
I got a question for you, Mike.
Now it's like you're all happy to ship them away. Yeah,
hey, guys, we got a new guest on, Anthony Stewart. This is his first time ever being on a live feed and whatnot. He was actually in the comments interacting with the show, so I sent him the link, and here he is. What's up?
Welcome to the main event, Anthony.
Are you a Bear fan, sir?
Hey, thank you, guys. I've been on here once before.
Oh, okay.
I've been on here once before.
Okay, aren't you a Bear fan?
I do appreciate you guys letting me get in on this live feed, especially when you're talking about my beloved, my Bears.
Oh, okay. So you're a Bear fan. Do you get a monthly check for that?
I do. I do. All in my dreams. All in my dreams. I do.
No, We're glad to have you on, man. So what's your take on all this?
Well, you know what? I'm thinking like my Bears, the Bears, I think Ryan Post, first of all, we got the perfect general manager. Once I saw that they were going to let Roquan Smith go for that draft pick, I knew it was tank time. And you never want to admit that, and an NFL player will never admit it. But once we let Roquan Smith go, then we sent Quinn to the Eagles. You know what I mean? It was all about draft picks then. You know what I mean? And I'm thinking what Fields did with what he had. You know, he had one real good offensive lineman. You know, we had two good running backs, not great, two good running backs who were never on the field at the same time. We didn't have a number one receiver. You know, I'm looking at Claypool as a number 2 next year at best. You know, so I'm thinking we did all right. And I'm thinking the arrow is pointed up. That nonsense about Justin Fields not being able to throw, I mean, when did that happen? What was he doing at Ohio State? Did anybody see that? Did anybody watch that? Or was that just me watching him?
You got somebody in the comments with like your opinion.
Did at LSU? Why do people say that all the time? Jamarcus Russell was great at LSU. I'm sure he was great in high school too. Didn't mean jack shit.
What was your opinion on the?
We're not talking about high school.
Showed up 350 million pounds.
We're not talking about high school. We're talking about college.
All that weight his rookie year, so that's irrelevant. You're making an enormously irrelevant point. What he did in college, that has nothing.
You know why? You know why you say that? Do you know why you say that?
Fields, I'll tell you that right now, Anthony.
Because it's true. That's why I say it.
You know why you say it? Because you know Jordan Love is up next. You know he's up next.
I like Jordan Love.
I did too.
And the two don't compare.
Not gonna like him.
Look, check this out. Justin Fields is a better quarterback than Love is right now.
That's like Aaron Rodgers played for Butte College.
Anthony's
right? Oh my God.
Anthony does have a great point though, guys. The Bears have $120 million. Dude, that you can get better in a hurry with $120 million.
Yeah, but
and play for you.
And hold on, supposedly they already
have.
have their quarterback. So the number one hurdle to getting there is already out of the way. If you believe Justin Fields is the guy that can get you there, you can get better. And what Anthony's saying, the arrow is absolutely pointing up for Chicago. You're looking at 10 years of relevance coming over the horizon for Detroit and Chicago, and you're watching Green Bay and Minnesota fade off into the sunset behind you.
No, see, that's where you're wrong, main event, Mike, because for the simple fact, yeah, the Bears have a lot of that cap space, but you need to get out the good old interwebs and check how many free agents they got to sign with that little bit of money, and then come back and talk to me.
I can't believe you just said
it's not just the free agency. It's that, like I said, we have a quarterback with the ceiling pointed up. We don't need a quarterback, but we do have the number one pick. And the way Poles, listen to me, hear me out. The way Poles worked his magic last year, we had 3 picks going into the draft last year. Not one first round pick, not one. We had 3. When Poles was done with that, we had 8 picks. 3 of those picks became starters. Now, take the number 1 pick, and you have a quarterback, and you have 2 teams that need quarterbacks. Man, we're gonna rake it in. We're gonna find some starters in there. I don't know how many, but we're gonna get a boatload, and then with our own picks, and then whatever's left in free agency, we'll work that. I mean, any football fan, I'm not being biased. I mean, just tell me if I'm right or wrong.
Well, I mean, you could be right, but being a Packer fan, watching, being an outside looking in, man, I've been hearing this shit for decades. So to me, it's more actions speak louder than words. And that's the same way with Green Bay right now if Aaron Rodgers ends up leaving. Actions speak louder than words. We'll see exactly what Jordan Love has. But you can't sit here and say that Jordan Love or Justin Fields is better than Jordan Love. We haven't even seen enough of Jordan Love.
Yes, I can.
Okay, so you're basing it off of 1 or 2 games that he started. But did you see what he did this year versus the Eagles in that 1 quarter? We're talking about
the man. Yeah, I watched that. Absolutely, I watched it. I mean, but come on. You know what's happening? You know what Green Bay is doing to Jordan Love? They're making him a future backup. That one quarter that he played against and Philly, great. But he's been sitting on the bench for 4 years. What team is going to sign him? If Green Bay doesn't make him the starter, what team is going to start him as a? Sign him as a starter?
That's yet to be seen. But my point is, if Aaron Rodgers gets traded, don't think Jordan Love isn't capable of being a starter.
He's not.
Very well capable of being a starter. When you sit here and you say he's not. Now, see, when you sit here and you tell me, he sat on the bench for 3 years. Tell me what quarterback that the Bears drafted that they didn't sit and develop that lasted in the league.
You know what? I'm glad you mentioned that. So let's keep it 100. Let's keep it 100. Ever since that Mitchell Trubisky debacle, that set the Bears back 10 years. So we haven't drafted a quarterback until we drafted Fields. Let's keep it 100. So I'm not going to sit there and say,
that's the thing. So you can't sit here and say that we didn't do the right thing with Jordan Love by developing.
Yeah, no.
That's how you get a successful quarterback.
First of all, you draft a quarterback with the first round pick, and you got a Hall of Famer that has at least.
Oh yeah, if you use the first
that was the dumbest move that the Packers could have done. That was a wasted first round pick. When you had
it's yet to be seen yet if that was going to be a.
It's been seen. It's been seen because because Aaron is still playing and Love is sitting on the bench. It's a waste, man. It's a waste.
I wouldn't call it a waste. I call that an investment. That's my whole point.
We'll see.
You have to develop players in order to make them successful in the NFL. You don't just draft them and throw them into the wolves the next season.
How do you develop?
Even
4
Patrick
years.
Mahomes sat for a little bit of time. Not 3 years.
He didn't sit for 3 or 4 years.
A little bit of time.
But he didn't sit for 3 or 4 years. That's what I'm saying. He didn't sit. He didn't sit for 3 or 4 years.
Yeah. So, well, I think Anthony's point is this time when they moved up in the draft to get Justin Fields is different than the time they moved up in the draft to get Mitchell Trubisky. That's different. And you drafting Jordan Love is different than when you drafted Aaron Rodgers. Following a future Hall of Famer. So you went to Utah State to get your future quarterback. Very interesting banter here between this Bear fan and this Packer fan. But I think I'm going to have to go with Anthony on this one. The future just looks brighter for the Bears in 10 years with all that money and all that potential draft capital. Green Bay just seems to be trending down, in my opinion. And Aaron Rodgers is holding your franchise hostage again. In the very first post-game press conference, the very first one, he said, I'm not going to hold this franchise hostage. And then that's exactly what he's doing. And we're all talking about
but they are who we thought they were.
Week.
But all right,
I
want to
can't
hear
wait
your
for
basic.
Jordan Love to take over. Even though I don't want to see the Green Bay get anything for Aaron Rodgers, I can't wait for him to take over just so all that drama can move to New York or Las Vegas or wherever it's going to go and get rid of him. And we can start defeating the evil empire for a change. We're kind of up against it, aren't we, Russ? Or I think we're about an hour and a half in. So I think maybe we're going to call it.
All right,
sure. All right. Hey,
I had fun tonight.
Before you
Go
guys
ahead,
go,
I was like, wait, we're having fun here, Mike. Like,
Go ahead,
Anthony,
Anthony.
because now we're talking football again. I said, bite my stomach, dinner.
Hey, Anthony, is it okay if we add you to our group chat for the show so you can?
Man, I'll be waiting on it. I'll be waiting on it.
Yeah,
I'll be waiting on it, man.
Russell,
thank you, Anthony, for being on the show.
Yeah,
Thank you so much, everyone. By the way, I want to remind everyone out there, go over to the Main Event 365, like and share our content. Go to our YouTube channel, subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's the engine that makes it go. Drop us a line if you want to get on the show. We'll do a small vetting process, and if your take doesn't suck, we'll let you on the air and let you on the panel and get ripped by Bill the Packer fan if you so desire. For the producer, Russell Rain, and our illustrious panel of headliners, I'm Main Event Mike saying, God bless you all.
You also. Hey, lock me in. Lock me in.
We got you for